After watching the video of my speech, I realized that I rushed through my speech a lot, and I really need to work on that. So, looking back to chapter 15, the three main goals that they listed of informative speaking is to speak to enhance understanding, to speak to maintain interest, and to speak to be remembered. I feel that the last two I thoroughly covered. I definitely believe that I will be remembered, and I definitely believe that I maintain interest. But the first one, the speak to enhance understanding, I feel that I definitely hit a gray area. I believe that I felt extremely rushed when I was speaking because my attention getter was extremely long, and even though it was important to the speech, I feel like it took up a chunk of my time, and that really caused me to feel extremely rushed. So throughout the rest of the speech, I got rid of what I call them, and my teacher at high school called them, cushion sentences, which basically are the sentences that you use in between facts to kind of give the mind a break. And I definitely believe that, and I know from watching the video, that I got rid of those completely, and I just read straight from my note cards to the facts only. And by doing that, I could have caused an information overload in the audience, and I really was not my goal. So in future, I will definitely be more prepared on the fact of how to not only maintain entrance and to get the audience's attention at first, but to not use so much of my time that I cannot in future in the speech use the information that I have and the cushion sentences that I have to keep the speech flowing in a good pace. I definitely believe that by using the adult learning principles that were discussed in chapter 15 helped me get the information to the audience the best that I could. I actively involved the audience by having them stand up and used them to visually display the statistics that I had at the beginning. And by doing this, I feel that it not only got their attention by making it more personal, as they could look around the room and see, okay, out of every 4 of us, one could be assaulted statistically, or 1 out of every 8 of us, 1 could be assaulted. And I feel that that really drove the point home of the whole attention getter, is that it can happen to them. And by using that letter from Emily Jo, who was the survivor of the Brock Turner assault, I feel that it really drove those statistics home, that it can happen to them, and that they should not believe that it couldn't. Chapter 15 also discussed the flow of information and how that is pertinent to your speech's success, and I definitely concur that my speech went way too fast. I had way too much information to cover in a relatively short amount of time, and I should have prepared better for that, I suppose, where my attention getter should have been shorter, so I could have had my body of my speech be more in depth and have more of the information and cushion sentences and facts that I wanted to include without hurting the attention getter. And so by doing that, I realized I needed to work on my introduction, which is discussed in chapter 10. And they list the 5 main important functions of a good introduction, which are to get the audience's attention, to give the audience reasons to listen, to introduce the subject, to establish your credibility, and to preview your main ideas. I really feel that I hit those 5 points, but I don't feel like I hit them as strongly as I should have. Especially the establish your credibility. I was so concerned with how the audience was going to perceive my speech of, okay, are they going to get upset? Are they going to get mad? Are they going to get up and leave? That I let that inhibit my ability to calm my nerves, and which in turn affected my speech as a whole. It made my speech looked very, I feel, disheveled and I don't like that because it was not. And by looking back in the book, I realized that, okay, so your introduction is the main thing that will get your audience attention. Okay, so yes, it needs to have a lot of time spent on it, but not as much as the body needs to have. So in the future, I will definitely really take a hard look at my introduction and my body and make sure that my introduction is not outweighing the body of my speech more than it should. One of the other things I wanted to discuss was my conclusion. I do not feel I had a conclusion, and I'm very disappointed in myself for that fact. I definitely believe that I rushed so much through the entire speech after the intention getter, that I totally forgot to do a conclusion, as my main goal was to not only inform but to impact their lives, in the sense of, okay, so these are the facts and this is what can happen. So in future, I will definitely not only have my introduction completely written out, but my conclusion as well. Whereas my body, I can kind of go more, okay, so these are the facts, and this is how long I can spend, cushioning those facts and making sure that they understand that I do know what I'm talking about, giving myself credibility. And having that introduction and conclusion written out will really give me the bread to my sandwich, that it'll hold it all together. If I don't have a strong introduction and conclusion, then the body of the speech isn't going to matter as much, because people aren't going to remember the speech as well, because there is no, as the book calls it, not conclusion, but as the book calls it, providing closure. I definitely don't feel that I provided closure in my speech. I feel that I drove points home that were important, but not necessarily concluded the speech as it should have been, and I definitely did not do the best that I could have on that. The main things that I really did in my speech that I really liked was having the audience involved and my intention getter. I feel that those two really, held my speech together. Without those two, it wouldn't have been as, impactful as it was. In the future, I will definitely be more focused on the introduction and conclusion. And I knew those were my weakest points. Once I started speaking, I realized, okay, these are my faults, and this is how I'm going to have to fix them.